Welcome back, Randy Wakeman here again. Who else would I be, after all, to do a little more patterning with Salt Creek's number 7 Tungsten Super Shot. Number 7 Tungsten Super Shot is roughly in the area of number 1 lead. So it's really hard to wrap your head around it. I mean, that is how it works out as far as exterior ballistics. It's really incredible. Now, however, with number 7, since we're sticking with 1 ounce loads, or 7/8 ounce in 20 gauge, compared to number 8, there's a significant pellet deficit, and you can't get more pellets in your pattern than you start with. So I can put those numbers up, but it's a lot less pellets with number 7. So there's just no way that we're going to get the pattern density that you can get with more pellets. It's just not possible. But what I've done is I've taken my Impala Plus and I have increased the constriction. This is a True Lock dove choke, the long range dove choke, and I'll pop up a picture of the mid-range and long-range True Lock dove chokes for Invector Plus barrels, which is what this is. So I am hopeful that with a little more constriction we can shrink the pattern diameter, because after all, that's what a choke does. It merely controls the pattern diameter. So let me zoom in. I've got a target. It's laser verified at 40½ yards. And we'll see what kind of pattern this True Lock long-range dove choke produces, which is, of course, tungsten rated. Certainly a tighter pattern. Let me go grab it. So, as you can see, Tungsten Super Shot responds very, very well to constriction. Very, very well. So that is one dandy pattern. Good grief, you were going to whack any pheasant that you get close to very, very hard. It only takes 1 pellet, but 2 to 3 pellets in the torso does it, and it's excellent. It's an excellent pheasant pattern. If I show you the other side, it's even more impressive. You can see that is a very nicely focused pattern, with the bullseye being right here. So there's just nowhere I can put even my fist without covering multiple pellet holes. So that said, this load is probably a better goose load than it is a pheasant load. Now, the genius that wanted to test number 7 tungsten wasn't Salt Creek. The genius, touched by the hand of God right here, was me, because I had never done any experimentation with number 7 tungsten at all. So you can't really compensate for pellet count. So after doing some checking and some thoughtful contemplation, if you believe I'm capable of that, most people will be happy going with number 8s. Because, of course, unlike turkey hunting, where you like to see that tightly focused pattern with 300 pellets in the head and neck, wing shooting The goal is to have not the smallest pattern, but the largest effective spread. And in that case, it normally works out to be, in the area of 16 to 18 inches is all you can really get as far as effective spread, which accounts for a few inches of pattern offset, meaning bad pointing of your shotgun, misaiming. Pattern offset is the way Ed Lowry referred to it. So if you're off the bird by 3 or 4 inches, you still want a dead bird. And that's what you get here. So number 7 being the equal of number 1 lead, or actually better than number 1 lead, that is really a great goose load. Of course it's going to kill pheasant too. But you can't beat the pellet count. And at the same time, using number 8 tungsten super shot, that's roughly the equivalent of number 2 lead. So, I mean, you have a tremendous performance advantage over lead, whether you use 4 or 5s, even with number 8. And it makes bismuth loads look really pretty sad. So obviously, this is a vast improvement. In fact, I'll grab the video. It was a blue target, I believe, at 42 yards, and I'll do one next to each other, and you can see the difference. I mean, this is just, it is excellent. And of course, one pattern of anything is hardly definitive. If you want really a good, robust average, you have to have a representative sampling, and sadly, that takes a lot of shooting and a lot of work. So that would be shooting at your 48 by 48 paper, larger if you need it, and drawing your 30-inch circle and counting pellets. And you really need 10 signature sheets to have a representative sampling, because you just can't take one shot and say great or horrible or whatever. It does take several shots, ideally 10 at a minimum. I mean, that's what Neil Winston always used. And every once in a while he would get some anomalies with erratic ammo, and you would have to take it all the way up to 20 shots. And that's with high quality target ammo. We're talking about SDS, AA's, and federal gold medals. And every once, not every time, normally 10 would do it, but sometimes you just get the worst shells in the box and what's going on, and you have to actually do 20 shots, which is time consuming. So nobody loves it, but it's important to do some of it. And of course you want a pattern at the ranges you're going to shoot. So even though the industry standard is 40 yards, that may not be relevant to you. If you typically shoot at 30 yards, that's all you really care about. If on the skeet field, the longest shot is maybe 20, 21 yards, most far closer, so you don't even care what happens at 30 yards. Same thing, 27-yard handicap trap, you're probably breaking the target, I don't know, 42, 43 yards, something like that, depending on how quick you shoot. It varies. But you really don't care what the pattern is at 30 yards for 27-yard handicap trap. And if you want the capability of taking a bird at 50 yards, same way. You don't care about 20-yard patterns. So it's up to you to determine what ranges you want to be effective at, and of course with wild pheasants it varies all over the place, so you have to use an educated guess. Normally I choke for the longest foreseeable shot, because you can always wait. You don't have to shoot them if they get up, right in your face. And also at close range, even with a tight pattern, you shoot them in the neck and head. You just stay away from the torso. that's your best bet. But then again, the toughest shot is a straightaway bird, head down, wings flapping, and there's no head to see. You just see pheasant butt and tail feathers. And that just doesn't give you much of a target when you've got to go through all the goodies to get them dead in the air. So I think just for fun, I will put up a fresh target now that I have a new supply, and we'll try it at 50 yards and just see what a 50-yard pattern with the same combination looks like. All right, this is actually 51.4 yards. Well, it's hard to get MOA accuracy out of a 20 MOA bead, but that looks pretty good. So that is, at that range, is still a very, very good pattern. The estimated drop, I should say the calculated drop at 50 yards is 6 inches. So if you're shooting at a bird that's 50-55 yards, if you hold over half a foot, you ought to be able to nail them. And you can see that the pattern density is a little bit low here because I was just going straight for the bull. So if you move that up a couple inches, all this stuff is right on your bird. But this is certainly it's a great pattern. I mean, it's for pheasant, and it'll drop a goose, no question. So I'm impressed. Like I said, you're going to get more pellets and more density, and there's no question if you go with number 8. And number 8 is certainly more than sufficient for a pheasant. Now, why did I have to go with Trulock to save the day here? And all I can really offer is a theory. This particular load from Salt Creek is a hot one, 1,600 feet per second. So it's not quite in the area of Remington hypersonic. Those loads run around 1,700, but this is still pretty darn peppy at 1,600 feet per second. So my theory, which is not fact, just my theory, is that with the substantially higher velocity rather than the 1,300 to 1,350 foot per second loads, by going all the way up to 1,600 feet per second, you just need more constriction. But once you have it dialed in, as you can see, from 40 yards to past 50 yards, that's a pretty consistent killing pattern. So, Trulock ought to sell a lot of these long-range dove loads. I mean, it's going to give you more efficiency than with lead than an improved modified, and that's a great benefit, particularly for the guys that use the cheapest ammo possible on the dove field, and there are a lot of them around here. It's whatever's on sale. The doves don't get much respect. So this will give you just a little bit added density and a little bit more range, because the kill zone of a dove is dinky. A dove is mostly feathers. But certainly, I think this is ideal. So if you do choose to use Tungsten Super Shot number 7, like this load from Salt Creek, get yourself a Trulock long-range dove tube, and I think you'll be delighted. If you're not delighted, Trulock will be surprised. And of course, if you're unhappy or you're not delighted, Trulock will give you your money back. George started that years ago, and Scott and Jared hold to that. So if you're unsatisfied, even if you order the wrong choke, it's an exchange or a refund, your choice, within 30 days of purchase. Not from a choke tube that you decide that you don't like 5 years later. You know, that's a little a little out of whack. But anyway, so that's the combination here. That's the combination I'll use because these loads are going to be killing pheasants. Why not? Trulock, Long Range Dove, and Salt Creek, number 7 Tungsten Super Shot. But in this area, we have a huge resident population of Canadian geese. So it doesn't happen every hunt, but I've got my waterfowl tags, etc., and if a goose happens to fly by, or a couple geese, you can pop a goose with this stuff, and it's lead-free, so you're legal. So the state of Illinois is happy, everybody's happy, even Randy's happy. So thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. If you like this type of experimentation and nonsense, as well as gun reviews, please do take the time to subscribe. It matters. Doesn't cost you anything, but please do like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Old guys like me, it makes me feel good, but it builds up the channel. I think the channel's around 25,000 subscribers. And by trade, I'm a gun writer, more so than a YouTuber. But as we all know, many people would rather watch a video than read an article. Some do both. But anyway, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.